Hi, my name is Lynette McKinley, and I'm an independent associate with LegalShield. I'm very excited and honored to be able to be with you today on behalf of Red River Member Services to be able to share with you a service that's available to you as a member of the Red River Credit Union. Two benefits that we're going to talk about today are LegalShield and IDShield. Now, I would like to start by talking about LegalShield. I'm sure you would agree with me that typically most of us have experience in the legal services industry that attorneys are expensive. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that. Normally $200, $300, $400 an hour. Attorneys can sometimes be unresponsive, and they're certainly unaccountable to us sometimes, and we need to use their services. So LegalShield has an answer to that through disruptive innovation, where you can actually access one of the top law firms in your state literally in the palm of your hand through an app. We've been able to take legal services and access to those services and make them more affordable, accountable, and responsive. So let me just share with you just for a quick moment about the history of our company. We're not a startup. We've been around for 47 years. We started back in 1972. Right now we are protecting nearly 5 million lives across all 50 states and in Canada. And we have a dedicated network of quality law firms in all states and all provinces of Canada as of October of this year. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever signed a document or a contract that you later regretted? Have you ever had a landlord or tenant issue? Ever had a real estate transaction? Or maybe received a traffic ticket? Have you ever been concerned about becoming a victim of identity theft or maybe your child's identity? LegalShield has the answer to any of these situations literally through your app. But the first thing is that LegalShield will provide you is personal legal advice on an unlimited number of matters. You can pick up the phone as a LegalShield member, talk to an attorney who specializes in the area of law that you have a question about, talk to them for as long as you need to, and when you hang up the phone, the one thing you're not going to get is a bill. Now, if the attorneys feel they can assist you by writing a letter or making a phone call on your behalf, we'll be able to do that for you as well. I'd like to share with you a quick story of how that benefited my family. Back when my son was 16 years old, he had an accident at a lake, took somebody's elbow through his 2 front teeth, knocked him straight back in his mouth. I fought with the insurance company to get reimbursed for that claim for 2 months because they were rejecting it, stating that it was a dental matter, not medical. Now, I don't know if you've ever had that challenge going back and forth with an insurance company, but that's what we were going through. Finally, I had it. I called LegalShield. They wrote a letter. 2 weeks later, the claim was paid. And on the explanation of benefits, where it shows how the claim was processed, they said, we have received further information and have reconsidered these charges. So we sometimes call those motivational letters, and those are part of our benefit at no additional out-of-pocket cost for you as a member. The next thing that we'll do for you is contract and document review, up to 15 pages. You can send your documents into the law firm and have an attorney review those for you. I know when my husband was leasing a vehicle, we sent the contract into the attorneys to review. They said there was a $500 destination charge in that contract that we didn't have to pay unless we signed the contract. He says, go back to your sales guy and tell him that your attorney said you didn't have to pay that fee. My husband did, and the salesman said, you're right, and he marked that off, and it was $500 back to our household just because we took a couple minutes to have an attorney review an automobile lease for us. The next thing that we'll do for you is IRS audit assistance. There's actually 50 hours of a tax attorney's time available in case you're audited. There are hours for trial defense if you're sued civilly. Those hours are 60 hours the very first member year, and they increase every year until the end of the 5th year, where you end up with 300 hours if you're ever sued civilly. And you can tap into those hours. Also, after a 90-day waiting period, we'll also cover family domestic services, which includes things like an uncontested divorce, adoption, name change, or separation. Now, another feature of our service is the opportunity to actually tap your phone and snap a picture of a moving traffic violation. We'll send that to your law firm, and it'll be uploaded automatically within 4 business hours. An attorney will contact you to discuss with you how they can go with you or for you to traffic court to try to keep the points off your record. Now, we do not fix tickets, but we do work really hard to try to fight the points, and sometimes they can even get the fines reduced. The next part of our services is estate planning. Our attorneys, just through your app, will actually be able to help you prepare your will, a living will, healthcare power of attorney, and a financial power of attorney, not only for you as the member, but your spouse or domestic partner. And if you have any adult children on your account, they can get these documents prepared as well. There's also a 24/7 emergency access. So what's an emergency? This would be for something like if you're being arrested or detained, served a warrant, if you are involved in a serious auto accident where somebody's injured or killed. Perhaps you have a weapon in your home for personal protection and you shoot an intruder at 2 in the morning. That would be an emergency. You can call, tap that button on your phone, and you'd have an attorney available in seconds to be able to discuss with you the situation at hand. The next part of our benefit is a 25% member discount. These are things like if you have something already going on that's pre-existing, or perhaps you go through a contested divorce or adoption, or you get a DWI or a bankruptcy. I think this is a great part of our benefit because attorneys typically don't go on sale, and LegalShield will find an attorney in your local area who can represent you and work with you, and they guarantee a minimum 25% discount for our members. And since attorneys don't typically go on sale, I think this is a great feature of our service. Also, contingency cases can be handled if you have a situation where that qualifies for that. As far as who's covered under our services, the member spouse, or domestic partner, if there's any never married, dependent children under the age of 26, living at home or full-time in college, they're covered. Dependent children, if you're the guardian for them, they are covered until they're age 18. And any physically or mentally disabled children living in the home are covered for life. So of course the question becomes, which would you choose? Typically, an attorney charging $200, $300, $400 an hour, or you can enroll with LegalShield and have access to all the services we just talked about, including an entire law firm, for about $1 a day. Now, the next program we're going to talk about is identity theft, and I'm sure that you've heard about some of the huge data breaches that impacted millions of Americans, Equifax being almost 2 years ago, and of course, if you've been watching the news recently, we just had another data breach with Capital One. So the thing is that criminals don't want your money, they want your identity. And IDShield is absolutely the best solution available for this problem. You know, a lot of people think that identity theft has to do with finances, and of course it does. That would be something with your credit cards or your banking. But you know, that's 17% of all forms of identity fraud. Tax returns, medical claims, Social Security claims, these are all different types of fraud that could impact your identity. Driver's license fraud, criminal and character. You know, with some of these data breaches, if your driver's license was sold online in the dark web, somebody could buy that driver's license, have a fake license made with their photo, and if they go out and commit a crime or perhaps get a DWI, you can be assured that person will not show up in court. And at some point, you might get pulled over for a broken taillight and then asked to step out of your vehicle. And if that were to happen, you'll be very glad that you have LegalShield with that big red button that can have an attorney on the phone in a matter of seconds. What IDShield will do for you is monitor everything that you feel is important. We will give you current credit scores, we'll monitor your Social Security number, passport, driver's license, medical information, emails, username and password combinations, credit cards, bank accounts. We will monitor the dark web. We'll even monitor social media. And we provide a $25,000 protection policy with a 1 bureau monitoring program. And for just an additional $5, you can add a comprehensive 3 bureau monitoring, a $1 million protection policy, and the addition of high-risk application and transaction monitoring. We offer full service restoration. We use licensed private investigators. If you become a victim of identity fraud or identity theft with our services in place, you'll be assigned a licensed private investigator who will ask you to sign a limited power of attorney so they can go to work on your behalf to return your identity back to its pre-theft status. We will do whatever it takes for as long as it takes, and we back it up with an unlimited number of dollar guarantee. So the pricing for both of these programs, if you're a family, is $49.90. They're $24.95 each for LegalShield or for IDShield Family. If you're an individual, you can enroll in LegalShield for $24.95. It's $9.95 for an individual to protect your identity. And the last feature I'd like to describe for you is our member perks, because if you enroll in LegalShield or IDShield, you're going to have access to hundreds of companies who are willing to give us discounts as LegalShield members. Remember, at the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned that we cover nearly 5 million lives with these services. That's a lot of buying power. So hundreds of companies are willing to give us discounts in order to tap into that buying power. I usually suggest people start with your cell phone provider because in many cases, you can get a monthly discount right off the top with your member perks discounts. Of course, I'm sure you're familiar with many of the logos that are on the screen right now, so you can take advantage of those, and it's very possible to save more with member perks than what you're paying for your LegalShield or your IDShield program. Now you're going to have the opportunity after this video to go to the Red River Credit Union website and actually click a link and enroll. Your membership would be, as soon as it's processed, you and or your family will be covered immediately. And I hope that this information was helpful, and we're looking forward to you enrolling in LegalShield and IDShield. Thank you very much.